okay? With Mrs. She by Shereé. Now, I think if you ask me, and I told Martell this on the phone, Shereé took my advice. Y'all remember when I said it took her 8 seasons to finish that house? It's a beautiful house. The Shade Room finally got the exclusive and shit like that on the house. It's supposed to be premiering on their YouTube channel. They really trying. They got the new show called drip houses or some shit, I don't know, okay? But it's nice, okay? They just put out the promo, and She by Shereé is showing off the house. She put a club in her house. Now, if you ask me, I said, she should have been a contractor a long time ago, okay? And she wouldn't have had to she wouldn't have had liens on her home, and it wouldn't have taken her 8 years to finish a house that should have taken a year. You know what I'm saying? But she got it finished and done. You know what I'm saying? I even asked Tyrone if he had finished, he had some put in on houses, and he ain't do that. That's not his work. As I asked him, I was like, you laying up with her while you ain't finished the house so you can at least sleep in one of the bedrooms. He ain't want no parts of that. He had lawyer fees, legal fees and shit. He had to worry about bigger problems. You know what I'm saying? So, I called him and I said, I saw the video with, you and Shereé, and I know it's your truck because I done seen your truck. He always got a different in the passenger seat. So I just, she was in the passenger seat. He opened up the car door for her, said, get on in. He ain't even need to help her in because she's strong. That's shape now. He don't need to help her in, Then I said, y'all, she finally a contractor now? He was like, no. I said, well, what the you doing with her then?
Martell Holt has once again found himself in the middle of headlines, and this time it has a lot to do with his connection to Shereé Whitfield, the well-known star from the Real Housewives franchise. Recently, people caught the two together, and of course, the internet had plenty to say about it. Many were quick to question whether Martell was actually involved with Shereé romantically or whether he was simply helping her with work around her house. According to the conversation that came out, Martell claimed that his business with Shereé was not about dating or romance but rather about building. He explained that Shereé had contacted him about getting a pool built for her house, and that is why they were seen together. This whole situation became even more interesting when Shereé finally finished her long-awaited house. Viewers know that her house project took years and years to complete. Some even said it took her close to 8 seasons of reality television to finally show off the finished product. Now that the house is complete, she has even put a club inside of it. The Shade Room released exclusive coverage of the house and made it clear that Shereé was trying to step into a new phase of her life by not only finishing the house but also turning it into something stylish and modern. While people congratulated her on finally reaching this milestone, others pointed out that it had taken far too long. What stood out in all of this is Martell's explanation of why he was involved with Shereé at this point. According to him, she called him to work on the pool, and he insisted that he was only down in Georgia pulling permits to get the work done. But the catch here is that Martell does not hold a contractor's license in the state of Georgia. So naturally, the question was asked, how was he able to pull permits? He said it was just pool business, nothing more. Yet people couldn't help but question how someone without proper licensing could really be the one in charge of building a pool for such a high-profile house. Martell also explained that Shereé had to redo much of the work on her home more than once. He claimed that she ended up doing many things twice, which had added to the delay in completing her house. Now he wanted to make sure the pool was done right and only done once. He confidently said he would be able to finish the pool within 3 months. That's what he said he was focused on, and he didn't care about the chatter around whether he and Shereé were actually together as a couple. Of course, people quickly turned their attention to Melody, Martell's ex-wife, and how she might feel about him being seen around with Shereé. When asked about Melody's thoughts, Martell made it clear that he didn't care. He said it didn't matter to him what Melody thought because he had kids to provide for and work to complete. He even admitted that he and Melody had tried to work things out in the past, but it did not succeed. According to Martell, they had given their relationship another try, but it just was not working out because they didn't want to go back to fighting and repeating old cycles. So they both decided to leave it alone and move forward as co-parents. Another name that always comes up in Martell's story is Ariane, who has been part of his past drama. When asked how she felt about Martell's new association with Shereé, Martell quickly brushed it off, saying he did not care what she thought either. His focus, he claimed, was on his work and his kids. He presented himself as someone who didn't want to get distracted by other people's opinions, but the reality is that his every move continues to spark conversation online. People notice when Martell is seen with someone new, especially when that person is a reality TV star like Shereé, and that's why this particular story has traveled so fast. The truth is, Shereé has had her own reputation when it comes to relationships. She has waited years for partners who were in difficult circumstances, and she has gone through her fair share of ups and downs in the public eye. That is why some people have been quick to call her desperate, saying she's willing to wait and settle for situations that don't look promising from the outside. But regardless of how people judge her choices, she seems content in showcasing her finished home and making sure that it now has everything she wants, including the pool Martell is supposedly working on. Now, while Martell and Shereé's situation was creating headlines, another name started popping up in conversations again: Alsina. The R&B singer, who has been connected to many controversies over the years, especially the one involving Jada Pinkett Smith, found himself in the middle of more public discussion. People have long criticized August for always portraying himself as a victim. Whenever drama arises, he tends to share his struggles in a way that paints him as someone who has been wronged by others, while ignoring the role he played in certain situations. Critics pointed out that August has shared his struggles with drugs, admitting that he turned to substances during difficult times in his life. While people sympathize with the challenges he faced, many feel that using drugs was still a choice that he made, and those choices deeply affected his career. By putting his career on hold and letting his personal life spiral, August lost valuable years in the industry. Now, when he tries to make a comeback, he often leans into sharing dramatic stories or releasing diss tracks instead of focusing on consistent music releases. The most infamous situation tied to August remains his involvement with Jada Pinkett Smith. He openly admitted to having a relationship with her while she was married to Will Smith, and then he went on to make music and give interviews about it. This made him appear as though he was exposing private matters for attention, and in doing so, he ended up being dragged by the public. Instead of people sympathizing with him, many criticized him for telling too much and for disrespecting a married couple's household. August has continued to put himself in positions where people question his decisions. For example, when Tory Lanez allegedly got into an altercation with him, August posted photos of his injuries online but then refused to cooperate with authorities. That made it look like he wanted attention from the incident without being willing to take responsibility or follow through. To many observers, this was just another example of him playing victim while avoiding accountability. In interviews, August has also made statements suggesting that critics are harming black lives by judging him. He once said that the way people speak about him online contributes to the struggles he faces as a black man. But many people, especially those in media, felt offended by that statement. They argued that no one would know August's business if he didn't make it public himself. By constantly sharing his personal issues, writing songs about them, and granting interviews, he made it impossible for the public not to talk about it. This brings us to the larger point: when celebrities decide to expose their private lives, they cannot then be surprised when people react to it. Criticism comes with fame, and if someone is always painting themselves as the victim, the audience eventually gets tired of it. In August's case, that's exactly what has happened. Instead of being celebrated for his music, he is often remembered for crying about Jada, feuding online, and showing his wounds after fights. His talent has been overshadowed by his decisions, and that's a big reason why he has not been able to revive his career the way he hoped. As if Martell and August weren't enough for the gossip cycle, another major situation came back around involving Diddy and Cassie. This one connects all the way to the Kardashian circle as well. According to whispers in the industry, Cassie was not only connected to Diddy during their long relationship but was also linked to Rob Kardashian at one point. Allegedly, Rob had a meltdown over Cassie, similar to the breakdowns he had in other relationships, like the one with Blac Chyna. But despite Cassie's rumored connection with Rob, Diddy forgave her and moved on, which speaks to the complexity of their relationship. Cassie's story has always drawn attention because she spent so many years by Diddy's side. People often wondered why she stayed with him through so much chaos and why she accepted certain behaviors. Yet when she finally left and moved forward, she seemed to gain peace in her life, which many fans were happy to see. The revelation of her connection to Rob Kardashian only adds another layer to her story, showing just how intertwined celebrity lives can be behind the scenes. Looking at all of these situations together, Martell with Shereé, August with his constant victim narrative, and Cassie with her complicated history. With Diddy, it's clear that celebrity culture thrives on drama. These personal stories become public entertainment, and the people involved often have to decide how much of their business they really want to put out there. Once it's out, it becomes fair game for discussion, and the cycle continues. Martell may insist that he is only Shereé's pool boy for now, but people will continue to speculate on whether their connection goes deeper. August may try to rebuild his image, but as long as he keeps revisiting his old drama, people will find it hard to take him seriously as an artist. Cassie may have moved on from her time with Diddy, but her name will always be tied to that chapter of her life, along with the rumors that came with it. In the end, all of these stories show how personal choices, whether in relationships, careers, or lifestyle, can become public conversations that never seem to go away. For Martell, the label of being a pool boy for Shereé might follow him longer than he wants. For August, the victim image might overshadow his music forever. And for Cassie, the years with Diddy will always be part of how people remember her, no matter what she does moving forward.